some creepy ass shit, and he gave you some creepy ass shit, right? And I gotta say, what is wrong with you people? Like you're laughing, like it's like scary and you're laughing. You're sick, you're twisted. So is Chris Stuckmann. So please, welcome the writer and director of Shelby Oaks back to stage, Chris Stuckmann. My man, you're a bad man. You're so nice, you're so soft-spoken, I watch your reviews, and then you make something like this. How do you go from being that guy to now this guy?
I think that's the horror community, though. Like, Mike Flanagan's the same way. Like, when you meet horror filmmaker Guillermo del Toro, they're the nicest people on earth because they get all their demons out doing that.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you got some demons. Let's get into the beginning of this, the genesis of this. How did Shelby Oaks materialize?
It started as something I was doing with my wife, horror sketches we would do for our Halloween special, you know, and we would go and just film really fun stuff together. And this is before we had kids, had a little more freedom to get around, and we drove to Tennessee and we shot this cabin in the woods sketch there. And on the way home, we had a 6-hour drive, and we were so fucking tired of waiting to make movies, you know? And I think waiting is the hardest thing, really, when you're a filmmaker, because it's a constant state of waiting, no matter what stage of production you're in, or no production. And we were like, let's just make a movie for $20,000, shoot it ourselves, and put it on YouTube. And that was the first idea for Shelby Oaks.
So how did you then transition? So the idea for Shelby Oaks, or the idea to make a film?
No, Shelby. That was like the original idea was like, we'll just have it be about missing YouTubers, and we'll do it ourselves, and we'll just pay for it and put it on YouTube. And so, but as we were writing it, it just kept evolving and turning into other things, and I couldn't stop the ideas from flowing. And I would talk to my wife, and I'd be like, I think it got bigger. I think there's more characters now. I think I'm going to do a shift from found footage to the traditional narrative, and am I allowed to do that? And it just kept getting bigger and bigger as time went on, and I couldn't stop them.
And was she just like, yes, you can do that, you can do whatever you want?
My wife is super supportive. But she's also very smart. Like we went through a lot of the dialogue together. Like, you know, we would say it out loud. We'd put on little mini plays on our back porch. We'd stay up till 4 a.m. figuring out this movie, you know? And, but no, I mean, I had a call with a filmmaker, his name's Josh Lobo. He did this movie called I Trapped the Devil. And I was like, I got this idea that kind of it would shift. Is that a rule that I'm allowed to break? And he was like, what? There are no fucking rules. Just make your movie. It kind of freed up my brain to kind of go into some of those places.
As you look at the film now, and you think back to those early conversations, did you ever imagine that it would appear like this?
No.
Is this what you, okay.
Never. Like I said, YouTube. I was like, we're just gonna put it on my channel. I don't even care if I get paid. I don't care. I'm so tired of not making movies. You know?
Where did the paranormal paranoids come into this? Because
that was the very, very first idea. The idea was like, we'll take place, the movie will take place in 2008. We'll follow some YouTubers, and we'll just have it all be from their POV. And then it eventually shifted to like Mia, the sister, and the backstory, and having that be the impetus for the story.
so while you're making shorts and put them out on YouTube, you're also building out the lore and the world of this thing, so
Yeah.
it's kind of complementary itself.
Yeah, I mean, it started like as an ARG technically, because we shot all of the Paranormal Paranoids episodes back in 2020. We were all masking up, and it was just me and the actors, and they're all here, and you know, shooting with a camcorder.
Now that we've seen the film, can we have a round of applause for them?
Yeah, we shot on tape. You know, I lured them into the woods.
Tape. What year was this again?
2020.
Okay.
You know, and they trusted me.
Digital existed then.
What's that?
Digital still existed then, but you wanted that. You wanted that texture.
I
right?
didn't have children then, so COVID was like a new thing. The world felt like a very different place.
So you shot on tape.
Yeah, we shot on tape, made DV. Like I said, with a camcorder. All of our gear for the YouTube episodes are period accurate. We didn't use any new gear. We didn't mic up the actors. We felt like there was this amazing sense of discovery to early YouTube. And I'm from that era of YouTube, where it just felt like people, they didn't care about money. The word monetization was not something you heard. You didn't hear people, hoping they would get famous or whatever. It was just people discovering that they could put stuff online. And it felt kind of safe and quaint. And I wanted to kind of capture that with those Paranoid episodes, that place where they could just explore whatever they loved.
And what about post on that stuff? Did you use period specific?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I edited those on iMovie on my iMac from 2007. I didn't want to be tempted to use any modern editing, techniques or whatever. Not that I'm a great editor, but like Brett Bachman and Patrick Lawrence, our amazing editors, are here.
They didn't use iMovie in your
They didn't use iMovie, no.
That's good. So the transition then, at what point do you go from making these shorts and getting those onto YouTube to then making the transition to Kickstarter and getting the backer support that we found there?
So I met up with Aaron B. Kuntz, who's here as well, producer of Paper Street Pictures. I met him at Fantastic Fest in 2019, which is where I first pitched him this idea. And him and we talked a lot about the notion of let's just kind of Cloverfield this thing. And I don't know if you guys remember the ARG campaign for Cloverfield, but when I saw Transformers in 2007, I enjoyed that movie quite a bit. But what I remember the most about seeing that movie, and by the way, these are backers. We had a very long credits roll because we wanted to put everybody in it. We wanted to put everyone in it, but I met Kuntz at Fantastic Fest, and when I saw Transformers, there was this teaser for this movie where a Statue of Liberty head fell out of the fucking sky and landed in New York City, and it cut to black with a date, and that was it. And I was obsessed with whatever that movie was, and I was looking it up online, and when I went home on the IMDb message boards back in the day, there was already all this stuff. There were news reports from Japan about something that fell out of the sky, and it was already there. And that was the initial conversation, was can we just put all of this stuff on YouTube and see if anybody kind of buys it? And I kid you not, some of the first comments we got, because none of our names were attached, I had somebody comment, "Oh yeah, I remember them." And I was like, no, you fucking don't. I made that up. But it worked, and then there were more people who were like, yeah, I don't know, this vaguely feels familiar to me. And I think it was really just like the vibes of that texture of that time in YouTube where there were a lot of people just making things like that.
And the authenticity that you brought to it as well.
Right.
It all felt lived in. But also YouTube was kind of like a dangerous place. Thinking about the footage or materials that would make their way on there before, because you didn't know if things were real or not.
Yeah.
And you would find things that would just appear long before, like the Vivos and everyone else kind of like took over.
Right.
It was kind of Wild West, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
So from there to Kickstarter.
Conversations with our producers, but more specifically our amazing director of photography, Andrew Baird, who is here as well. Genuine genius and fellow lover of Nacho Libre. Him and I shot listed everything and storyboarded everything, and we had blocking diagrams, and we were so specific. We had a year to prep this movie because of all of our delays, and we kind of just had a conversation, looked at each other, and we were like, we don't have the money to make the movie we want to make. And I kind of went home, and I had never really asked my subscribers for anything. I don't even say like and subscribe. I don't even go that far when I make a video. And it felt uncomfortable for me to ask for support until it was, like I had, again, conversations with Aaron about the notion of inviting people into the process of making the movie and creating a sort of like a mini film school experience for the backers. And that clicked with me. Like, I can provide something for them too. This isn't just about please donate money. And so we had a BTS person, Blair Bathory, who's also here on set with us every day, filming us, interviewing us, and we posted BTS videos while we were shooting to Kickstarter. So people who backed the movie got to see the behind the scenes, every single week. And I've met a lot of backers since doing our backer screenings across the nation, and many people came up to me and were like, we learned more there than we did at film school. Because we're showing, we're lifting the curtain, and it's like, this is how it is to make a movie without a lot of money, and this is how you actually have to do it.
Did the response, so you then make that transition, you announce that you're looking for funding, support, you want to bring audiences in. What was that like? Because, as I said at the beginning, this is the largest crowdfunding there has been for a horror movie, period. Not just on Kickstarter, but period.
Right.
What was that like, seeing this thing explode? And then how did it change the film that you guys were making?
Well, first and foremost, I remember the first day where we launched the campaign. I told my wife, I'm like, we're not going to look at the numbers. Let's just go relax. And we went to a pizza parlor and had this giant ass pizza, and it was delicious. My phone kept going like zzz,
notifications.
On the table. I had it face down, so I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to look at it. And I looked at it, and it was Koontz, and he was like, just look at the numbers. And we hit 250,000 in one day, which was our ultimate goal, was 250. And that's where I felt like, okay, I can do it for that. We can find a way. And we ended up making over $1 million, on it. And it allowed us, what it did was, first off, we were instantly able to go into production, which is amazing, to just be like, let's stop waiting, we're gonna shoot.
How long was the Kickstarter run to generate that money, and then what was the window between hitting that $1 million and then jumping into production?
You said how long was it?
Yeah.
What was it, Aaron, like 2 weeks?
30 days Kickstarter.
30 days?
30 days after we started shooting.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you were ready to go.
Yeah, no, we went, we did it. And that's because, again, of the backers, that they, and it was, like I said, it was important to me that they felt valued. This wasn't just about, thanks for the money, I got it, and we ran. Every single reward tier is being fulfilled. We're out there making sure that everybody feels like their money is, valued.
Going from 250 then to $1 million, the film that you had planned to make at 250, all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a much bigger sandbox with which I can play in now.
Yeah.
So did you go back into the film, and then did you start building that out?
I think
the
what
film
we did,
itself changed?
Not really. I think what we did was the schedule changed. We suddenly were able to shoot for more days and have a little bit more time to kind of get into some of those scenes. Days where we were originally going to cram, and we still did cram, where we shot in 20 days, but like days where we originally thought we're not going to make it out of this alive became days where we were just really tense.
Yeah.
The whole time. Yeah.
And the narrative itself, actually less than narrative, thinking about the found footage piece and the relationship between that and the scripted narrative, that was always storyboarded. You always wanted to do that rug pull.
Yeah. I mean, like all of the B-roll that's in the doc is scripted, because we had to shoot all of that. When you make a true crime documentary, you source from real B-roll, and you have crime scene photos, security camera footage, family photos, everything. If we had B-roll, not only did the actors have to know what they're referencing when they're speaking on camera, but we had to have that, for the film. And there were times in the edit where I'd be like, oh man, I wish we had like an extra search party photo, and I'd call my friends and go out in the woods and get a search party photo really quick, and just, do everything you can.
Was it completely different setups, the way that you shot the found footage to how you did the scripted narrative? Like what was that process like? Did you shoot all of the found footage stuff first, second?
Most of the mockumentary stuff was done first, and I've told this story before, and I'm going to embarrass our incredible lead actress, Camille Sullivan. I will work with you on anything you ever want to do. I don't care what it is. If you want to shoot a Tide commercial, Camille, I'll be there. On day one, we had her scheduled to shoot her entire interview for the documentary portion, and that's 17 pages. And we shot it in a couple hours, and we wrapped 5 hours early that day, because she brought it.
Yeah.
And she, we had it all scheduled for a day. We were gonna break it up, give her a chance to take a break or whatever. And she was like, no, let's just do it in one take. And so we shot with 2 cameras, 3 takes, and we were done. And I watched her face and body go from remembering her sister, joy, to fear, remembering her night terrors, to talking about her mother and her history and all of this stuff. She would just morph into that and remembering the B-roll, like, oh, this is when they're gonna show a shot of the Ferris wheel. It was astounding. Absolute pro.
At what point in the shoot did that take place?
That was day one.
Oof.
Yeah, and we wrapped, like I said, 5 hours early on day one, and the faces on the crew, when they were like, wait, we can just go home? And we were like scrambling, like, can we get anything else? But we were set up for the documentary at that time, so we just were like, fuck it, let's just go home and have a great day one.
And so much of the film rests on her shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, super critical. If she doesn't land this, the film doesn't work.
I had confidence in her from this movie she did called Hunter x Hunter, which is amazing. You should definitely see that. But after day one, she was just never something I worried about again. It was like, oh no, Camille's got it.
Yeah.
Any anxiety of that was just gone.
Did you then afford it? Did you give it the freedom then to improvise and stuff as well, or was it like these are the pages? Let's stick to what
We did a little bit of things, like sometimes Camille would be like, "Can I say fuck instead of shit?" and stuff like that. But you know, when you're shooting in such a crunch time, there's not a lot of room for changing things too much. You kind of just have to keep going.
Did you work on her character's arc before to get closely together, or was it like you kind of came together really as you were getting into production?
We had a lot of Zoom calls beforehand to just discuss everything about her character. But you know, again about Camille, she showed up to set and her script was dog-eared and torn and highlighted and
she knew.
Yeah, I mean, notes everywhere. And the preparation was just, she prepped like I prepped, like she was directing and writing the movie. Like it was just, she knew that it was so important.
So she came day one, delivered, put the smack down on you. How did you feel day one? Because this is new, right? This is like, I've stepped off.
Honestly, it was incredible, man. I felt really comfortable and safe because of our crew, first and foremost, being so amazing on day one. We had a great first AD, Michelle Mietti, who did an incredible schedule that allowed us to shoot this movie in a very tight time frame that made sense. And she was smart with the way she scheduled our first few shots, because all of our first few shots are just like exteriors of buildings that we did. So it was like, yeah, get the crew moving and everything, you know, get everybody familiar with each other.
What was the best, the first day on set or the last day on set?
I mean, the last day was sad because I really loved all of the people I was working with, and I was like, we made like a little mini family on this, and I felt like, oh, I'm not going to see them for a while, and it just felt bittersweet. So I think the first day, even though I was so nervous to get going, I think the first day was better than the last day, but the last day was also really great.
Yeah, well, everyone came back. You're all reunited here.
Yeah.
So much of the film, the practical effects of it, you wanted to stay within the practical, you didn't want to do CG, or at least limit that. Were you concerned about that going in? Like, what was that process?
Yeah, I mean, for the shot when Wilson, blows his brains out, we had time for 2 takes, and there's no CG in that shot. It's all, we had a whole thing set up at the back of his head, and we also knew it would be in slow motion, and so if there is a problem, you'll definitely see it. But we did it in 2 takes, and the cleanup of that was a nightmare too, just because it gets everywhere. And but we got it.
So you're an expert in exploding head cleanup. That's what you're saying.
It's something I've learned on this.
You would have to. And then also, not just the practical that you used in the film, but also like practical locations that you were able to liberate there, like the fairground and stuff like that. Happy accidents, or these were places that you've been scouting for months and years?
No,
or did you find them during the Paranormals?
No, I knew of them. So like, for instance, the Shawshank prison, I shot a review for Shawshank Redemption there, and I became friends with the person who runs the tours, maintained a friendship with him, and reached out to him and was like, I would really like to shoot there, is that possible? And they're like, yeah, we shoot stuff here. And I was like, we don't have any money. They're like, yeah, come on. Because I maintained a friendship with him, and we were close, and he knew I was from Ohio, and we paid him a little bit, but it was nothing like what they're normally paid, I'm sure, to shoot there. For the fairgrounds, yeah, that's a real abandoned amusement park that my mom really did go to when she was a kid. It's called Chippewa Lake in Ohio. And wow. Are you 79 years old? That's awesome. No, when I was a kid, she took me there when it was still closed. She showed me the roller coaster, and rusted and covered in vines, and it always stayed in my mind. And I did a thing that has paid off, but was a big risk, in that I wrote the script around these locations,
Right.
knowing that if I could get into these locations, it would make the film look more expensive than it was. The problem is, you have to get in. You have to make sure you can get in. And so that was a whole thing with the Medina County who owns that place, but we did get in. So yeah, no, I scouted and found all those locations just driving around Ohio looking for abandoned shit, and Ohio has a lot of that.
And I guess that's part of like the fun of this as well, like as a filmmaker, because you're so deeply embedded in all of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even that football stadium you see briefly was an actual, like, half demolished football stadium. The only CG in that shot is the word Shelby. And the car graveyard that's in the film was behind someone's used car repair shop, and I literally walked up to him and was like, can I fly my drone through there? And he went, sure. I'm like, cool. Thanks, man. It's gonna be in a movie one day, but
Did he believe you? Did he think it was really going to be in a movie?
I think he thought that I was crazy.
He was right.
Yeah, he's right.
He's right.
But all that was just driving around Ohio trying to find stuff to create an abandoned ghost town. That sort of wide aerial shot of that 3-block radius of houses is, again, no CG. That's a abandoned block of houses in Cleveland that they let us shoot there.
This is the stuff, you're going to be telling this story, obviously not just in this room, but as you roll this film out, because this is the stuff that is, I think, the most inspiration behind all of this, right? It speaks to a school of filmmaking at any cost, right? That like, you're just going to go out there, you're going to do it, you're going to find these places, and you've created something that you created it yourself, without a giant system, without a studio behind you. Sure, you had support, but you made this thing work in a way that other people wouldn't even think to. And that is a true inspiration, I think, for filmmakers everywhere. You want to take a couple cues?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Do we have any questions in the audience for Chris? Yeah, right here, hand up. Person with the phone over their face. Get my good side, please. Chris is always good.
But Chris, you said you've been working on this for a while, and the script evolved over time, changing from found footage to sort of a combination of the two of them. In your mind, did you still have a vision of the found footage film, like a complete footage style, or has it totally been gone now that you kind of developed into this new film?
The question was, do you have a vision for a full found footage film? Did this originally intend to start out as exclusively found
Before
footage?
ever writing it, that was the first thought. But once I started writing it, it did change into how it is, and it stayed the way it is pretty much the whole way. What I will say though, man, is I do have a vision for a prequel and a sequel. Christian Parks.
Opens in theaters the 24th. Go see it, and we'll make 2 more. Okay. Other questions? General right there, glasses. Yeah.
Hi, Chris. First of all, thank you for being here and congratulations. Given the budget restraints, what was the hardest scene to pull off in the movie?
Understanding working within the budget, what was the hardest scene or scenes to pull off?
I would say the sequence in the attic with the ritual was a tough day. It was 100 degrees outside. We were in the set that had been freshly lacquered that morning. And if you imagine like that scene in Meet the Parents where the fucking altar blows up from the lacquer, we felt like that every minute of that day. We just had an elaborate thing planned, and it plays. And it's the type of thing where people come up to me and they're like, yeah, that was cool. And I'm like, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, about the 10 shots we lost that day. But nobody else is. It's a me thing. that day was tough, and it was very hot, and our poor actors were in like 3 layers, you know? Everyone had fans underneath their clothing in between takes, just like, ah! We had a baby on set, we had a blood gag, we had a stunt. It was just, that was a tough day. That was a tough day.
Whose baby was that?
So, no, it's not mine. My kids are in the movie though for a second. They're actually in the movie twice. Because there's a shot of a pregnant person in the movie who is my wife while they were pregnant. And so they're in the movie kind of like in their own little way. Anyway, so what happened with that was we were shooting the fucking movie and I'm like, we don't have a baby yet. It was so terrifying. We were like a week out from shooting as well, and it was becoming one of those situations where I was like, oh my god, am I gonna have a CGI baby? Oh fuck. That's like the worst CGI you can do as a baby. And casting, the traditional routes of casting did not work out, you know, getting people to ask in those ways, and I just made a post on Facebook. And I was like, guys, please help. Does anyone have a 3-month or less old baby?
That we can douse in blood.
Yes,
in a hot
that
Latin
doesn't
room.
mind that they're in a horror movie, and you know, that's the other thing. And gratefully, my amazing friend Dylan Newell just was a recent father, and he was like, I would love for my kid to be in a horror movie.
Dad of the year.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah, he just saw the movie last week, and he was like, so excited. He's like, I can't wait to show him when he's older. He's like, it was really a genuinely like heartwarming thing. It was perfect. And his name is Atticus. Pro. Did everything right.
Battling Camille, right?
Yes.
Right
There was every time I'd be like, you have to sleep now, Atticus. He'd be like, perfect.
I want that kid.
Yeah.
Is that kid available? Okay, I think there's a question here. Yeah, right there.
Thank you so much for being here. I love the film.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could talk about the most valuable piece of feedback you got, either in the first draft of the script or work in progress out of the film.
Question is, can you talk about the most valuable feedback you got either in the script form or at the first cut of the film?
What I'm going to say is I'm so privileged to have worked with a lot of people who are fantastic editors. I already mentioned Patrick Lawrence and Brett Bachman, but also Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan's an editor too, he edits all of his stuff. And those 3 individuals being by my side during post, could not ask for better angels on your shoulder than those 3 guys. Just always there saying like, maybe try this, try this, try this. And you know, this is an old-fashioned rule that you hear sometimes where you get out of a scene before it's done and get into a scene while it's already happening. And we do that a lot in this movie, but Mike took it one step further. And I'm not going to say what the scene is because it doesn't matter, it's not in the movie anymore, but like there was a scene that was very much so a baby, you know, one of my things, and it was very difficult to shoot it, and we pulled it off and everybody was proud of it. And multiple iterations of, you know, the film and the editing bay, we got to a point where we all kind of felt, I think we all felt the scene didn't have to be there, and Mike was there and he was like, you can cut that. I was like, I know. And then we cut it, you know? And it's tough, so kill your darlings, you know, you've heard it before, but it's true.
That's great from the feedback standpoint. As a first-time filmmaker, what were the big learnings and what would you want to share with the audience who also, we have a lot of prospective filmmakers and writers in the room right now?
I think, you know, I watched a lot of, I can't tell you how many times I've typed into YouTube, so-and-so filmmaker, advice for aspiring filmmakers, Steven Spielberg, tell me what I should do. And I've watched those videos endlessly, and I heard a variation of the same types of things, which are usually, everyone has a phone in their pocket. What's your excuse for not making a movie? And I'm like, come on. That doesn't do anything for me. I'm already doing that. Like my whole life I was making stuff. And since everyone has a phone in their pocket, that's the problem. It's oversaturated. Everyone's trying to do it, and it's harder to stand out as a result. And so what I realized was I need to go to where genre filmmakers are and meet them and become friends with them, but not in a way where it's like I want something out of it, like I'm trying to sell myself or whatever. because they can always smell that. So I went to Fantastic Fest and I was like, I'm gonna meet people who are making the stuff that I want to make. And that's how I ended up getting a film made, was going to genre festivals like Beyond Fest. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give any aspiring filmmaker is come to film festivals and watch movies like the movies you want to make. Meet the filmmakers afterwards, but don't just like run up to like the most famous. Look for the producers and the folks that maybe you don't immediately recognize who can actually help you, you know, and want to, like Aaron Kuntz, who are like looking.
Aaron, you're gonna get mobbed in.
Yeah, Aaron. Everyone talk to Aaron. He's got a lot of free time for reading scripts. Yeah, man. No, seriously though, that's my biggest piece of advice, is seek out folks in person. Because it's so easy to get solicited through email and be like, oh, delete. But if someone's right in front of you and they're passionate and they've got, like I've had people come up to me with their binders filled with their storyboards and their concept art, and it's really amazing, the talent that people have and how many people are so hungry to tell the stories. And so go to where people are.
Build a team, surround yourself with good people, do good things with good people, just like you did. Chris, it's a hell of a debut, it's a hell of a film. It is some creepy ass shit. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
It's a story of inspiration. Thank you all for coming. Shelby Oaks is in theaters October 24th. If you want to go see it, writer and director Chris Stuckmann. Thanks everybody.
Thank you guys.